Hello my friends, this is Wake Angel 2001. After work today I decided to go to Target to see if the Blaze the Cat figures had come in. Apparently not. It looks like they did get in a fresh wave of Sonic toys, but you know, it was the Sonic with a skateboard wave, and the other one was a Cream the Rabbit wave, so it looks like the last two waves just keep getting repeated. And even the Sonic Prime toys, it was just a re-release of Wave 1, so yeah, while I'm waiting on the new wave to finally arrive in my area, I did come across the Legacy Evolution line, and they had the figure that I really wanted and was super happy to see, Strongarm, and another figure that I was massively disappointed at when I saw her online, Shadow Striker. So I got both of them because, you know, they are both cool female characters in the Transformers franchise, and I do love collecting those. And I got both so I could contrast their reviews, because one is going to be significantly more glowing for me than the other. The boxes, you know, they have all the cool artwork. You get to see the characters. I really like the artwork of their faces. That looks so cool. Let's zoom in. Yeah, Shadow Striker looks awesome. Strongarm looks appropriately heroic. You got their glamour shots. You know, these are, you know, legitimately good artwork of these characters. The back of the boxes show them in their vehicle mode and their robot mode and their Evo Fusion. That is a very stupid Evo Fusion Shadow Striker. And not that it's any smarter on Strongarm here. But, you know, like, the point is, like, we got a couple more Cyber Ladies. And hey, we got two female Transformers in the same wave. How often does that happen, huh? I think the last time it happened was, like, when Windblade and Chromia came out in the same wave, and that was, like, almost a decade ago. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but it is very rare. Okay, so, well, did it happen in the Combiner Wars Titan Returns line? Maybe. Not sure. Because I know we had the Elita 1 combiner back then. But I digress. Let's go ahead and this will be the review of the Strongarm figure. And I'll do another video for the Shadow Striker. So here is Strongarm out of her box. One of my favorite characters from Transformers RID. I should say RID 2015 because there is another RID, which I will get to when we're in the Shadow Striker review. So let's just take a quick zoom in and take a look at her from head to toe. That is a beautiful head sculpt. It has her makeup, the shape of her eyes, her Gundam-esque crest. It is one of the most perfect head sculpts, and I love that even though she's a character famous from the cartoons, like, her visage is still perfectly captured even in this collector's focused Generations line. The paint job on the rest of the body is looking really good. They got all the details on her chest, her midriff, down to her legs. And the legs are really the only part that really just doesn't look like they changed too much from when they were, you know, the Elita 1 or Minerva part of the mold. But as you can see from the way her shoulders and backpack have been altered, they have made significant retooling to this mold to make it into Strongarm. So there is some legitimate remolding. You're not just buying Minerva again with a different paint job. This is a significant retooling of the mold. So she is a mold sister, but it's really more for the engineering than the actual tooling. As a quick aside, I will bring in Robot Mode Minerva so we can see the differences. You see, totally new chest, new way for her shoulders to transform, new way for the backpack to fold up. You know, like, there's the only stuff that really doesn't look like it's changed significantly are the legs. Those are the only things that are still more or less the same from the original version of the mold. So she even has her little door wings on the back. And I will say, out of all the versions of this mold, this is the one that has the tightest feet. Most of the time, the feet are really floppy and the ankle rocker is useless. But on this one, look, they hold poses. So you can actually, you know, have her... you can actually, like, transform her into her truck mode and not have those things flapping on the back. I also wanted to bring in my favorite Strongarm figure from back when the RID cartoon was on the air. Remember, everyone, the original version of this toy was not painted this well. I painted it. It's one of my customs. Look up my custom Strongarm repaint or whatever. But yeah, you can see at the time that this came out, this was the most accurate to her in-game design that a toy was. So, like the way her shoulders are carried, her backpack kibble folded up this way, like this looked more like the cartoon than anything else. Even her warrior figure, which was larger than this. That's why I wanted to have this one specifically to compare to. As you can see, her shoulders are not quite as broad, but they do kind of still sit the same way. Her little doors forming like a little wings on top of her backpack. That's captured in this. So I just wanted it to be very clear here that this is doing a significantly good job of capturing the look from the cartoon. And yeah, like maybe her forearms could use a little more blue, but I like how they're nice and square instead of having a big panel coming off of them. That's like these panels and a lack of, the fact that the back of her torso is so hollow are the only two flaws that this version of the toy had. I always said if you could scale this up to deluxe size and add one more hinge on the forearms, fill in the sculpt of her back, then this would be a perfect figure of Strongarm. But you know what? This is pretty good. Like, if an upscaled, slightly retooled version of this would be 100 points, this is easily at least a 90, possibly a 95. Alright, so that's enough comparison stuff. Let's get to her articulation breakdown. Her head is on a ball joint and very expressive, so you can turn, tilt, look up and down slightly. Her shoulders are on pin discs. They can move around a bit. Thing is, her shoulder kibble does get in the way. It kind of hits her head if you go out, so she can't quite T-pose. The shoulder kibble is somewhat flexible and can move around a little bit. So she does have range, but it can look awkward. This is because her shoulders just don't go out as far as they really should. That's the limitation of this being a remold. But as you can see, like the shoulder kibble itself is like on a hinge that goes out and then a hinge that rotates. So they did try to make it so that this doesn't get in the way. They even made the wings of her little doors, they're also on their own wings so that they can move out of the way of her shoulder so that her wings aren't blocking her kibble. So, that's good. Her elbow gets a full 90 degree and she has a bicep swivel. So she can, talk into her wrist communicator and make logs about how her crew is violating statutes and orders. Her wrists do move. They're very tight, but they rotate. She has a waist swivel. It's part of her transformation, but it is cool that she has that. Hips have a lot more range than her shoulders do. They go all over the place. There's a thigh swivel, 90 degree knee, and you already saw me do her ankle tilt. So, Strongarm is very articulated, and wow, I kind of put her into a decent pose just futzing around with her. Her only accessory is her little service pistol. I don't know why they made it out of translucent smoky gray plastic, but it does look just like her gun on the cartoon. It goes into her hand, and she looks good holding it. And unlike her original warrior toy, it's not in a perpetual state of discharge. So, she's actually a cop that isn't going to get the precinct sued. Oh wow, that was a dark take. I'm sorry about that. But yeah, there's lots of posability. She looks good. Everything about this figure does seem to be a pretty good representation of the Strongarm character, and I am happy for that. That being said, let's get her into her truck mode so we can we can talk about that. And here is Strongarm's truck mode. It is the widowest truck ever. But it looks so much like the cartoon. It's very boxy. It's very square. It has the police striping. I always made a joke about Strongarm's police pickup truck, but yeah, that's basically what it is. Except it's so tiny. It's SMOL small. Kinda love it. In this mode, I suppose you could take the light bar off the roof. Yep. And then you could mount her gun there. Apologies for the jump cut. I had to go retrieve the light bar from the ground. But there's other mounting points, like back here on the gas cap, you can put the gun there. The gun has 3 pegs, so you can also mount it sideways, like that. In fact, this is how the instructions tell you to mount it. Shoot from the hip. And there is one more hole in the truck bed, but there the gun can only shoot behind itself, because if you rotate it around, it doesn't fit. So yeah, that is her truck. It rolls, well, it would roll if this wasn't an almost frictionless surface here. Strongarm is kind of under there. That is just how this figure transforms. Although I will note her arms actually seem to fit into the transformation better than Minerva and Elita 1's did. So I would say that they legitimately improved the way that she carries herself. As you can see from the comparison here, you had to kind of like slightly bend her elbows and move her at the shoulders to get her to fit under her car. While in this one, everything is nice and straight and compacted. Okay. But yeah, you can also see just how different the truck looks from the baseline car mode. Like this little sporty dune buggy-ish car that Elita 1 transforms into is turned into a still small but significantly boxier and tougher looking little truck. And like I said, like on this thing where the feet are so floppy they seem to just want to fall and then transform themselves at any time, they are much more solid on the Strongarm figure. So they stay there. They stay where they're supposed to. But yeah, like that is a really nice replication of her little truck mode. And just for comparison's sake, we're going to bring in that old figure that I had. By the way, like I kept on calling this one Weaponizer Strongarm, but I was mixing up terms. This is the one that came with like that clip-on Energon armor and the little round minicon that could turn into a sword thing with like a flip transformation. So I forgot what the name of this one is called, but it was one of those little scout size ones, which I felt were better than the Warriors, even just held back by the fact that they had like almost none of their own paint. But yeah, as you can see, like she does a decent job of replicating the silhouette of her truck mode. She even has like these little things on the back, which is accurate to the show model. So yeah, like they did a really good job. Some people were coming down on this one. I will admit it does have the flaw in that her shoulders are awkward to pose because of the way her kibble goes, but otherwise it's a great little representation of Strongarm. And even though it's a reused mold, like this would make it the 3rd time we're using this mold, like it makes enough changes that it still feels fresh and original. So like, yeah, like this is a legitimately great remold. It's different from its previous toolings. It does a great job of replicating the way the character looked on the original show. And yeah, like the only negative I could say about it is maybe it's a little too small and maybe the shoulders could stand to be a little more posable. That's really it. So she should be hitting your targets right now. I would recommend going to pick her up if you're a fan of Transformers Robots in Disguise, and in particular Strongarm. So yeah, this is Wake Angel 2001 signing off.